Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. From this particular video, we'll start a new component in the income tax law and practice, that is house rent allowances. So if you have observed few employees, they will get a kind of allowance, that is house rent allowance monthly basis. So the employer will pay some amount as allowance because the employee will be paying the rent. The employee will be staying in the rented house. So the employee will be paying the rent every month. So to meet up that expenses, rental expenditure, the employer will give something known as HRA, that is house rent allowance to employee every month. So even this house rent allowance is also a kind of taxable allowances. So again, there are certain exemptions given for this house rent allowances. So there are three kinds of exemptions. Out of these three exemptions, least of the following will be exempted. So this is a table to compute the house rent allowance. First, we will write the actual HRA received. What is the actual HRA that is received by the employee? Then least of the following will be exempted. Out of these 3 points, which is the least, less amount will be given as exemption. The first exemption is actual HRA received. Whatever the actual house rent allowance he would have received, that will be given as exemption. That is the point number one. Second point says that excess of rent paid over 10% of salary. So the rent paid minus 10% of salary, whatever the amount comes difference, that is the second exemption. Third one is 40% of the salary or 50% of the salary. Suppose if he has taken a rented house in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata and Chennai, 50% of the salary we will consider for exemption. If he is staying in another state or union territories apart from this DMKC, that is Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Chennai, 40% of the salary will be considered for exemption. Out of these three amount, whichever will be the least amount, that will be considered as exempted HRA, exempted house rent allowances. The remaining will be taxable allowances. This is the format. Now salary for the purpose of HRA. So salary comprises of basic pay plus DNS pay plus DNS allowance which enters into retirement benefits. Only the portion which enters into DNS retirement benefit, that will be considered, plus commission if anything, if he has got on based on the turnover or sales achieved by him, that will also be considered for the calculation of salary. Suppose an employee is not staying in a rented house or he is not paying any rent, but still he is receiving house rent allowance, then for him the exemption will not be given. So that is what the note have put here. Exemption for HRA is not available if the assessee is living in his own house for which he is not paying any rent. So if he is staying in his own house, or he is not staying in any rented house, or if he is not paying any rent, so for such necessity, the house rent allowance or HRA will not be given for such assessee. So he cannot avail the exemption. So this is a format to calculate the taxable house rent allowances. Hope you have understood the format very well. In my next video, I'll start the problems based on house rent allowances. Thank you for watching the video. I'll come back with the next video.